president is unique and uniquely dangerous.
Something extraordinary just happened that most people probably missed. A 78-year-old federal judge just quit his job, not to retire or not because he is tired. He quit to warn us that American democracy is in serious danger. Code red. His name is Judge Mark Wolf, and what he did is almost unheard of. Here's the thing about federal judges. They don't do this, ever. When you become a federal judge, you get the job for life. The founders wanted it this way. They wanted judges who couldn't be fired, who couldn't be pressured, and could not be bought. A judge who doesn't have to worry about losing their job can make unpopular decisions based purely on what the law says. And then there's this unwritten rule in the judicial world that you stay out of politics. You don't give your opinion on presidents or policies. You just do your job, you make your little rulings, and you keep your mouth shut about everything else. It's not just a professional courtesy. To them, this is their sacred promise. Breaking it is like a priest walking out of church mid-sermon to tell everyone that this whole church thing is corrupt. Judge Wolf just broke that promise, and he's saying he had no choice. Now, before you get into this, oh, this is just some partisan judge, let me tell you who appointed him. Ronald Reagan in 1988. This isn't some radical activist. Wolf worked in the Justice Department under Gerald Ford, right after Watergate, when everyone was trying to rebuild trust in the government. He spent 50 years in the legal system. He worked in the public corruption unit, going after corrupt politicians. This is the establishment. This is a guy from the conservative legal world who has spent his entire career playing by the rules. Or he's saying that the rules don't even matter anymore because the system itself is breaking. Here's where it gets really interesting. Wolf says what's happening now is worse than Watergate, worse than Nixon. Think about that for a second. Nixon had to resign in disgrace. Nixon was the cautionary tale we told for 50 years about what happens when a president abuses power. But Wolf says what Nixon did episodically and covertly, knowing it was illegal or improper, is what Trump does now, routinely and overtly. What does that mean in plain English? Nixon broke the rules, but he knew he was breaking them. He hid them. He hid what he was doing. And when he got caught, the system worked. The courts made him turn over evidence. His own party turned on him, and then he resigned. Trump, according to Wolf, is doing similar things, but out in the open and daring anyone to stop him.
This president is unique and uniquely dangerous. We have an ideal that's crucial to me and many others of equal justice under law. This president repeatedly, overtly directs the Department of Justice to prosecute his perceived political enemies at the same time that the Department of Justice is not investigating possible corruption by people close to the president and people who are doing things to profit the president and his family.
But here's the most chilling part of Wolf's statement. He says he's resigning to speak for embattled judges who consistently, with the code of conduct, feel they cannot speak candidly to the American people. Let that sink in. He's saying that there are judges all over the country on the bench right now who are scared, who see what's happening, who want to scream and warn us, but they can't. Because out of the rules about judges staying neutral, we're only hearing from Wolf because he was willing to give everything to speak out. How many other judges are sitting there watching this happen, unable to say anything? The federal judiciary is supposed to be the most protected, most insulated part of our government. These are people with lifetime jobs who cannot be fired, and they're scared as shit right now. They're terrified. What are they seeing that we're not? Wolf mentioned some specifics. Trump publicly calling for the prosecution of people like James Comey, Letitia James, Adam Schiff, all political ops. Judges receiving threats when they rule against the administration. Executive orders that legal experts say violate the Constitution, but there's clearly more, something bigger, a pattern that has Wolf convinced democracy itself is in danger. Let me explain what Wolf is worried about with the Justice Department, because this is crucial. The DOJ is supposed to be an independent branch of government. When they decide to investigate or prosecute somebody, it's supposed to be based on evidence of a crime, not because the president is mad at them and wants it. That's a really important distinction. Because if that line disappears, if the president can just tell the attorney general, go prosecute that person, I don't like them, then the law isn't protecting us anymore. It's just another tool for whoever's in power. And Wolf is saying that's exactly what's happening. Trump is publicly posting on social media, telling his attorney general, Pam freaking Bondi, to prosecute his enemies. And here's the scary part. Even if those prosecutions fail, even if those people are not found guilty, it still works because it's just being prosecuted. And it destroys you. Legal fees can bankrupt you. Your reputation gets destroyed. All your laundry gets aired out. It takes years off of your life. The process itself becomes punishment. And the message to everyone else is clear. Oppose us, oppose Trump, and we'll do this to you. Now, Wolf didn't just quit on a whim. The timing is super deliberate. Back in 2013, Wolf took what's called a senior status, basically a semi-retirement. When he did that, President Obama appointed somebody to fill his seat. That seat is filled. So when Wolf fully resigns now, Trump cannot replace him, thank God. He can't put one of his loyalists in that spot. Wolf is freeing himself to speak out while making sure Trump does not get another seat on the bench, another judge to appoint. Think about what that means. Wolf sees the courts being systematically remade. He sees Trump appointing hundreds of young judges who will be there for decades. And he's thinking, if every judge who's concerned about this just quietly retires, Trump will replace them. He'll replace all of them with people who won't push back. So he's fighting back the only way he can.
We're proud to say often that we have the longest democracy in the history of the world, but that should remind us that every other one failed. And unless people who have the potential to do something, to try to contribute, advocate for the rule of law and for democracy, and impress upon the American people the importance of supporting the courts and insisting that the president obey court orders and the law, our democracy is in great peril.
Here's why Wolf's move is so significant. The courts are supposed to be the last line of defense. Congress cannot be controlled if only one party wins enough elections. The executive branch, everyone in the executive branch ultimately works for the president. They can't be fired. The press can be attacked, delegitimized, called fake news until people don't believe them at all anymore. The federal judges have lifetime appointments, specifically so that they can stand up to the president without being afraid of losing their jobs. They're the final check on power. And if the judiciary is compromised, if judges are being intimidated, if they're deciding cases based on political pressure instead of law, then there's no checks left. And judges see things that we don't. They see what arguments the government is making in courtrooms across the country. They see what legal theories the Justice Department is pushing. They see whether prosecutors are acting professionally or politically. Wolf has access to all of that, and he's concluded that it is so broken, he has to give up his career to warn us. This isn't about what's already happened. Wolf is making a prediction. He sees the trajectory. A president who shows contempt for legal constraints. A Justice Department being used as a weapon. Courts are under attack. Judges are under threat. Corruption is being normalized. Political opponents are being targeted for prosecution. And he's saying that this is going to get worse. We have not seen the worst of it yet. There's a pattern to how democracies break down. Somebody in power tests the boundary. If nothing happens, they push it a little further. Then they attack the institutions that try to stop them. They replace the people who won't go along. Gradually, things that used to be unthinkable become routine and the norm. Wolf is warning us that we're watching the rule of law itself die. We're heading towards a place where justice is based on political loyalty to Trump instead of evidence, where the Constitution is just words on paper that a president can ignore. So let me bring this all together. Why should you care that one judge resigned? Because the people who have spent their entire lives, dedicated their entire lives to maintaining these systems, are watching them fall apart. Because when somebody with 50 years of experience is desperate enough to throw everything away that they've worked for just to get our attention, They know something that we do not, because this isn't about one bad policy or one questionable decision. This is about the systematic dismantling of checks on presidential power. Wolf is 78 years old. He's not doing this to build a new career. He's not going to go work in tech. He's spending his final years, literally his final years on this planet in this lifetime, fighting because he thinks the threat is immediate and severe. Because the opposition is being criminalized. When the Justice Department under Pam freaking Bondi, who took a $25,000 bribe from Trump University, is now leading the charge on justice, we need fighters. Judges are getting threats. They're getting prosecuted right now. We're going straight into authoritarianism. And the really scary part is like, who can stop this? Wolf can speak out. He can write op-eds. He can support lawsuits, but he's only one retired judge. He has no army. He can't arrest anyone. He can't force anyone to follow the law. All he can do is warn us and hope we listen. So here, what this comes down to is, are we taking the warnings seriously from the people who actually understand deeply how these systems work and what it means when they break down in such a way? Or are we too tired? Are we too divided? Or are we too overwhelmed by everything else to hear this alarm? Because Wolf has done everything he can. He sacrificed his career, judicial neutrality, his peaceful retirement. He's shouting as loud as he possibly can, but he can't make us listen. He can't make us care. He can't make us act. And if we don't just shrug this off as more political noise, if we become too exhausted to pay attention, then everything he's warning us about will come true. And if this has expanded your perspective, please share, take a moment to subscribe, because the threat, if it wasn't real, and if none of us respond to this warning in time, you know the saying that they say about the canary in the coal mine? Miners used to bring canaries into the coal mines because the birds were more sensitive to toxic gas. If the canary died, the miners knew that they had to get out fast. And we just had the canary die. Now it's a question of if we can all get out before it's too late. We got Willa on the couch.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.